First, a disclaimer so this ain't twisted into something that it ain't. This ain't a call for violence. It ain't even a call for protesting. It's a call to simply speak, especially when it hurts. To say the truth without shame or fear and to give voice to pain so it stops festering in the dark. If you can't form the words, then help somebody who can. And if your voice shakes, borrow the voice of those who stand upright and steady. We're talking about speech, about witness, about dignity, not about harm. I grew up where the ridge line looks like a spine God pressed up from the earth, where barns breathe and gravel roads remember every boot that ever walked them. Where a handshake used to mean something and a man's yes was iron. I know what it is to carry weight in the back and not complain, to keep quiet about wounds until the shirt turns red. But I also learned what silence costs, and lately that tab's been running high. We live in a time where the evil are wicked, yet they're united, and the righteous are divided. And you can feel the balance tip when folks who love truth won't stand shoulder to shoulder for it. Ali ibn Abi Talib said it straight. The evil ones in the world are wicked, yet they are united, and you are righteous, yet divided. By Allah, I fear their falsehood will defeat your truth because of your disunity. You can call that ancient if you want, but I call it right now. We're watching headlines like hailstones. Windows shattered in houses of worship, arson smoke in the night, plots hatched by men who worship hate like it's a god, and numbers climbing like they're a bad fever. We'll pat the victim on the back and we'll whisper to him prayers and sympathies, and some of us go quiet. Leaders of men with padlocked mouths, pretending neutrality is wisdom when it's cowardice in a nice suit. Listen to me. Stop dividing yourself from the victim. Stop chasing the approval of the one who is victimizing, and stop polishing your image while your brother bleeds. Being a victim doesn't make you a martyr, but refusing to speak while you're bleeding, well, that can turn your heart to stone. I'm not here to tell you to march or break or burn. I'm here to ask you, will you speak when it hurts? Will you say this pain is real when people ordered to smile through a beating are told to be grateful for the hand that lands? Ali ibn Abi Talib also watched men freeze up when called to act. He heard excuses about the summer's heat and the winter's cold, and he called it what it was. A retreat from a sword that they hadn't even faced yet. Different century, same disease of the heart. And then there was his words that were like thunder that sits low on the horizon. He said, the world has turned its back and is departing. The hereafter has come forward and is approaching. He said, the world has turned its back and is departing. The hereafter has come forward and is approaching. Each has its own children, so be among the children of the hereafter, not of this world. Today is the day of action without reckoning, and tomorrow will be the day of reckoning without action. Let that sink in, brother. Let that settle into the bones, sister. The world is already walking away from you, and what you say now is part of what will be held up then. Not your brand, not your feed, not your safe little silence. Your truth, your witness, your courage. And don't tell me courage can only be fists and fire. Some of the bravest men I've ever known stood up with words. Men like Muhammad Ali, who refused to bow to the empire of the moment. Men like Martin Luther King Jr., who marched with a Bible and a backbone. Men like Malcolm X, who told us to speak with clarity and not with rage. They didn't whisper, they said it loud, but they said it clean. We have a right to speak, and we have a right to name our pain. We have a right to say that it's enough pain. So hear me. Hear me now. This is a mercy call to the ones in the pews and on the prayer rugs, to the hijabs and the ball caps, to anybody who still believes a human being deserves to walk to worship without wondering if the door's going to burn. We're not going to name names, and we're not going to splash faces, and we ain't going to turn grief into gossip. But we will say what's true, things that are statistical. In the land that brags about freedom, Muslims are facing a rising tide. More harassment, more attacks, more plots that target mosques, and most of the tide swells when the world's wars are used as gasoline for local hate. And that's not my speculation, that's data that keeps coming in year after year from monitors and police reports and civil rights groups who count the bruises so the world can pretend not to see. Now to my brothers and my sisters who can't sleep, you're not crazy and you're not too sensitive. The wind is colder. And when a mosque window breaks in a seaside town, when 3 men in the basement dream up maps and weapons to hit masjids and synagogues in the dead of night, when reports tell us this was the worst on record since the counting began, you're allowed to feel that in your chest. But here's what we don't do. We don't mirror the ugliness. We don't trade our deen for a moment of rage. We don't hand our tongues to the shaitan. We speak with yaqeen, certainty, and sabr, patience, and with hikmah, wisdom. And we name what's happening without naming the neighbors that we still hope to eat with tomorrow. We say in Western countries, hostility towards Muslims is rising, and we want nothing but safety and fairness for every house of worship, every family, every child. Full stop. Small circles like to talk about pain and poetry, but when it's time to tell the truth plainly, they lose their nerve and chew their words. Break that pattern. Speak when it hurts. If your heart's in a chokehold, tap the mat with your voice and say, I need help. I'm not okay with this. If your tongue can't carry it, hand the microphone to the one who can, and then stand behind them like an oak. And to the men who pride themselves in leadership, leadership is more than a car, a title, and a following. Leadership is bleeding with your people out loud, not hiding in the back room with your thoughts and prayer speech and your PR guy on speed dial. If you can't take a clean public stand for your neighbor's safety, then step down and stop calling yourself a shepherd, a preacher, a team leader, a supervisor, or a manager. And I know somebody's listening is thinking, careful, brother, your words sting. Yeah, speech has a price. Silence has a larger one. Silence writes receipts in the hereafter. Today is the day of action without reckoning. Action can be a sentence, and that's it. It can be a refusal to laugh at a slur. It can be a reporting a threat so it don't turn into a funeral. And it can be calling your city council to push for guardrails that protect every church, every synagogue, and mosque. It can be building coalitions, yes, with people you disagree with, because safety is a shared roof. And when you can't do any of that, share the message from someone who can. Hit share, hit post, hit record. Technology gave us all a voice, use it. If you can't say it clean, share the speech of one who can. If your platform is small, help amplify the one that's bigger. And if you've got resources, fund the voices that keep the lights on for truth. That's how the wicked unite. And they're beating us, the righteous, divided. They show up for each other, and we should too. And don't twist this into a call for mobs. I said from the very beginning, and I'll say it again loud and proud, no violence, no protest. Just speech, just witness, just the refusal to be bullied into cheerful silence. I've buried enough friends to know that the grave doesn't take hashtags with it, it takes deeds. And on that day where the scales don't lie, your clips and clever slogans ain't going to be in the evidence tray, but your courage will be. Your softness toward the oppressed will be. Your refusal to flatter the oppressor will be. Your choice to be a child of the hereafter, that'll be there, shining like a clean blade. And for those who are worried about going too far with their words, remember who you're speaking for. Not for the algorithm's favor, not for sponsors who want you toothless, not for politicians who treat you like a photo op. You speak for Allah, the one who hears the whispers under the floorboard, the one who knew your speech before you learned to form the letters. Let your words be mercy and let your tone be firm and let your message be a door open to anybody who wants to walk out from the darkness they're in. If your fear says, stay quiet, answer it with dhikr, with remembrance. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. If your doubt says, who are you to speak, answer it with service. Lift somebody else's voice higher. If your shame says they'll call you names, answer it with patience. It's better to be called names now than to be called coward when the pages are read. I ain't promising you comfort. I'm promising you meaning, because the world's back is turning and the hereafter's face is drawing near. Pick your lineage. Be counted among the ones who refuse to let their neighbors be bothered in the night. Be listed with those who stood for the safety of every house of worship, even the ones that you don't step into. Be remembered in your town as the one who would not lie about what he saw. Let me say it plain one last time so you can't twist it, turn it how you want. We don't raise a hand in harm. We raise a voice in truth, and we use every legal, ethical means to say our communities deserve to live and pray without fear. We tell the story, we verify the numbers, we guard the doors with love and law. And we stay united so falsehood don't out-organize the truth again. Stand with me and stand with each other. Stand under the shade of the merciful, merciful with tongues that don't hide and hearts that didn't turn stone, with hands that help lift up the voices of the broken, until the broken wasn't broken no more. Be a child of the hereafter and let the world that's walking away watch you speak, so when it finally disappears, you've got a record you're willing to meet. And that's all I've got to say about it.